Hello, everybody. Welcome to Virtual Trek on 6. I lost my voice, but we'll be very active in the live chat. So ask your questions, and these guys will answer it. Lolita Faggio.
Hello. Thank you, Ryan, for having us.
Feel better, Ryan.
Thanks. Take it
Feel
away.
better, Ryan.
Take it
Oh,
away.
I'm feeling
So,
fine. Thanks.
yes, thank you, Ryan. So you're in good hands, I think, with myself and David Zappone, our chief of staff. Dave,
That's me. Hello.
that's you.
Hello.
Yeah. And Joseph Kornbrot, our other chief of staff. We're all
Bro.
here.
Yeah.
There we go.
Throat.
Throat.
Like
Sorry,
Kornbrot.
after all these years,
I
I
know.
get
Hello.
what is wrong with me? I'm sorry, guys. I'm not awake yet.
That's
Anyway, Brian, thank you for having 455 Films here. Hello to all of you fans out there. It's great to see you. It's been a while since we've done an update from 455, so we'd love to do that and give you, updates on new projects besides the Voyager documentary and other fun things we've got in store for you. So, Dave, what would you like?
Well, Voyager, we're at a very exciting point, I think. We are very close to done. We had a last minute request to do an additional interview of someone very important to Voyager who did not have the time during the pandemic and the strikes and all the other things we had. So we have that interview and we are very close to completion. And our plan is within the next, I would say the next 6 to 8 weeks, to be conservative, it could be sooner. We are going to get the digital downloads out to everyone who backed us, to be followed by the DVDs. So that's what we're working on right now. Joe and Nick Kofsky, our editors, are working furiously to get this done and get it out to all of you. So it's going to be a two-stage release. First, the digital download, which I think most people today use, and then the DVD with the special features. Joe, is there anything you want to add to that on Voyager?
No, I mean that's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is Lolita and I are leaving for the Star Trek cruise, and we are going to be screening not the final version, but a version of the film on the Star Trek cruise, because there would be no Voyager documentary without ECP, Entertainment Cruise Partners, the company that runs the cruise. Thanks to Lolita back in 2020 and two subsequent cruises, they gave us free reign. And if it hadn't been for us capturing that 2020 cruise, the only in-person reunion of Voyager for the 25th, there'd be no film. So as a thank you to them, we are doing this. But again, I assure the backers that you are going to get the first view, the first look at the final film, which is, as I said, in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So there you go, Lo. That's the Voyager update.
Great. And I just have to give Joe a big round of applause for getting that film done by November 8th for those who got to see the screening in Los Angeles and then on the 11th in New York. And then Dave was in London the following week.
Yep,
I hope the 7th
of December. I think it was.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
No, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was November 19th, I thought.
Yeah, it was before Thanksgiving.
Oh wait, I thought I went later than that. Okay, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Anyway,
and just to back up on what Dave said, this is not the version that we're showing on the cruise is not the screener that the people that went to the screenings in November. We've made some tweaks. We've listened to feedback from the people that saw it, and we've made some adjustments accordingly. So.
Well, that's a good point, Joe, because that's the value of doing a few of these screenings before we lock the final picture, because we do listen. And anybody who was at any of those screenings in New York and London and LA knows that we encouraged feedback and even set up Facebook groups to get your feedback, and we listen. So really, it's been incredibly helpful to us to have the feedback from the backers. So it's been, yeah, we've changed it accordingly. But again, it will still, the one we're showing on the cruise is not quite the final version, but very close, very close.
Right. And it was also fun to get feedback from all of you guys, but also from the actors that came to see it,
True,
and
true.
from the production people that came to see it. As Dave said, we welcomed all of it. And I think that Joe and Dave and Nick, our other editor, took all of that into account in this last few weeks of working on it.
Yeah. And you know, to clarify, or not even clarify, but just to say, the film, with the things that we've made changes to, were requested, but it was not a lot in the grand scheme of things. The film is very similar to what people have seen. It's just
certainly not structurally, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And none of it was real. There was really no, like, I hate that. There was no real negative thing. It was all very positive, constructive criticism or notes, really.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to, you know, from my point of view, is that, you know, we needed to make the fall screenings. So we knew that we didn't have the film necessarily finely tuned as we wanted either, but we needed to lock with what we had early enough to get all of the flourishes and finishing touches that were needed, the color and the sound mix and the music and all that stuff done, and that takes time. So we had to back end into that, knowing that, you know, okay, once we lock the picture, we have 3 months to get all that other work, which was a lot of work to get done, but we were able to get it done. So you know, and it pays dividends, because even though we're still making tweaks to it, a lot of that work has already been taken care of. So,
right.
So we are very, very close, and very happy to get this out to everybody who wants to see it and who backed us and supported us. You know, it's been quite a journey, and it definitely has taken longer than any of us thought it would take. But you know, that's the world we live in today. So thank you for your patience and understanding.
Yeah, it actually will be 5 years this next coming week.
Yep.
First cruise was 2020, and here we are getting on that ship in 2025. So, but Joe, there's a question I think that you might be able to answer on the chat there. Can you see
that? I don't have my contacts.
Yeah. So it says, when will the documentary be
released? No, up. Someone's asking about their credit.
Okay, we did a poll. Can we mention credit?
No, down further. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I need someone on the cruise to check on the website. I'm listed as Lisa Herrera instead of Lisa One Trek Van Herrera, which is my background name. Okay. Well, I guess we'll take this into consideration. I got to say that Luke, who's managing everything, he's getting everything from the surveys that we asked people to fill out in Backer Kit. And if people didn't fill out their surveys correctly, that might be why that is. But let me copy that, and I will. Yeah.
Maybe we can do another round, and we'll make two.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's sort of the wizard of all that stuff, and I will inform him of that. Right now, I'm just creating a note on.
Yes, thank
you. Here, so
Lisa.
So we will try and rectify that as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know, again, thank you all so much for your support in the Voyager documentary, but we do have some other things we're working on that we would love to talk about. And we have a little surprise, little screener for you. Dave, you want to talk about this next project with Mr. Westmore?
Yeah, well, it's kind of we've discussed it before, but it's an outgrowth of Voyager. We were interviewing the incredible Michael Westmore, who I think everybody who watches Star Trek and is watching this knows who he is. Academy Award-winning makeup artist, part of a dynasty which essentially created the category of makeup in Hollywood, going all the way back to Joe, the 20s, even earlier.
1917.
Thank you. All right, I was off by 3 years. But it's a documentary not only about Michael, but on this incredible dynasty. And just quickly, when we were interviewing him for Voyager, I was sitting off, Lolita was doing the interview, and I was just saying to myself, oh my God, how has no one done a documentary about this man and this family? And I walked over to Lolita and Michael, and Lo, you want to take it from there, what you guys were talking about as I walked
Yeah,
over?
I mean, I just will never forget. He flagged me down after he got out of the chair before he left for the day. And he said, Lolita, no, I've kind of been tossing this idea back and forth in my head. I wrote an autobiography already, but I have tons of more material that I'd love to do a second book, but I don't think I have the energy to do that at my age. So do you think that you and your group of here would be interested in doing a documentary on myself, but more so on my family? And I think I just probably, my jaw dropped because I couldn't believe he was actually saying that. It was so amazing. And Dave walked in at that time, and that's how that whole thing started. It just,
Yeah, to pitch exactly the same thing. And
and
we
we
have some
took 1
very
minute
big
to
names.
say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we jumped on that pretty quick. So that is pretty far along, and we can't quite say yet. We're going to show you a sizzle right now, but it's not even covering everybody we already have, right, guys? It's
Yeah, no.
Michael
We did
Dorn.
this.
We did it before all that. We have Brent Spiner, we have Gates McFadden, we have essentially the whole Next Generation crew. It's kind of like my backdoor TNG documentary. And also Terry Farrell. We have her. She's not in there. Robert Beltran. But I think everybody else is represents the Star Trek people are pretty
A
much
lot of the people that Michael wanted in this film were people that he did the makeup for himself on a
Right.
daily basis,
Mhm.
which
Right.
so that's why there's not a lot of all the Star Trek actors aren't in there. And also it's not all about Star Trek. That's
No.
the point. So
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, we'll show this and then we can take any questions or comments after
Yeah,
that.
we do have one question, but let's show the assistant first, and then we'll
Yeah.
jump to that question. You got it, Ryan?
Here we
Cool.
go.
Here we go.
And the winner is Michael Westmore and Zoltan Elek from Mass.
My family name has been in business for years, and all I can say is for the guys that have gone on before, I love you, and the family's got one.
I couldn't believe we got him. Had an amazing impact, and people are still talking about the work he did almost 50 years later.
There's no other family that I can think of that has the contributions to motion picture makeup than the Westmore family.
It's one of the most famous names in the movie business.
Every one of the brothers became a head of the makeup department of the studio.
Aren't you the youngest
I'm
brother?
the youngest of the third generation. What I really wanted to do was special effects makeup.
The winner is Robert De Niro, The Raging Bull.
I want to thank Mike Westmore for the makeup.
That's entertainment. He helped create the category of makeup for the Academy Awards.
One of the great artists. He was so far advanced than anyone. He was just a genius.
He had wonderful stories to tell.
Even Betty Davis's stories.
Was there nudity involved?
Yes.
Some of them quite shocking.
Mike, why don't we go to the emergency room, play a prank?
A whole head that opened up, a rubber chest. Why don't you use a loofah sponge? Somebody unscrewed his foot. It was the best job that I ever had. No one in my family ever got an Oscar before me. The president of the Academy said as long as he was president, there would never be an Oscar for makeup because the Westmores would win it every year.
I mean, there really has never been a makeup person like the amazing Mr. Michael Westmore.
I started here, came down here, came down the front here, came down here, came down underneath here, down her leg, all the way here, and down her foot. And I can guarantee you, it has never matched once.
Oh, well, little smarty ass over there found some.
That was something that blew people's mind.
These are the Borgs, which are some of my favorites.
I am Locutus Fire.
Here I was on a makeup show with a makeup family, makeup dad. I need to carry on his legacy.
I got a call from Spielberg's office. It was doing Spielberg. He's a producer.
Oh.
He does other movies.
shows?
Yeah, he does other shows.
Chris, who is that?
I don't know.
My point exactly. It's the fucking rubberhead to you. There's a human being in there. There's an actor and there's a SAG member in there.
Yay.
Hey, good stuff.
I get to
Good
go
stuff.
see Michael in a couple hours. So
I
It's,
always enjoy seeing that piece.
Yes, and you guys, this is a labor of love from all of us at 455. We've been doing it on our own, and we've loved every minute we've spent with Michael and his wife, Marion. They're just wonderful people, and not one single person that I've reached out to, or any of us have reached out to be interviewed for this, has said no. They don't even think for 1 second. It's just, of course, for Michael Westmore, absolutely anything. So. And we're hoping in the next couple months to get a few more really big names in there. I think it will be very exciting. So
and Michael and Marion and their family are just wonderful people, and feel very blessed to be able to collaborate with them on this project.
Yeah. So we'll go back to the one question about the Voyager cast member. Was that?
Yeah.
Who the cast member was?
Somebody says, which members of the Voyager cast were the most excited to be invited to be part of this project?
Well, I
can answer that easily.
We can all, I think Garrett Wong was the most enthusiastic, and whenever we asked, and we asked everybody, but whenever we asked, he was always game and ready to be there.
But I have to say, everyone was great. Lowe, even in the beginning, Robert.
Tim Russ and Bob Picardo and Garrett and
Ethan.
Even though he was very busy, Robbie McNeil was actually our first interview.
Yes, during COVID, we did that.
Yeah,
very different.
And he was moving. He was in the middle of moving from wherever he was in the States to Canada for work stuff, I believe. So
and Robert Beltran was terrific. Yeah,
Robert Beltran was a great interview for Voyager, and I think for those of you who've seen it, you would agree. Everybody is very enthusiastic. Again, it's now 30 years of their life. Then it was 25, and I would think if anybody, they'd all want to be part of it. I can't imagine not, but we've been lucky that we got it.
And I think the thing we're most proud of is having Jerry Taylor.
Absolutely.
It was extremely supportive.
She was, obviously Lolita, you had a very close relationship with her, but I only got to know her for those few days we shot up north, one at her house and one at your house. But that's a highlight of my life, watching the Dodgers Giants battle it out in your living room with Jerry.
That was a lot of fun. So anyway, there's a question about the Westmore doc. Was the Westmore doc a Kickstarter or Indigo project? I didn't get onto that one. Feeling sad now. So the answer
that's an internal. That's 455 self-financed. Excuse me. We really, the catch-22 with crowdfunding is that you're essentially, and boy, Ryan can speak to this, you're doing another film, essentially. It's so time consuming to do all the fulfillment. And again, not complaining, but people are not just giving money. They expect the merchandise, and incredible time goes into
the perks. You want to say the perks.
That's what I was just going to say. The creative, we're creating all of these things ourselves and fulfilling them and shipping them to 11,000 backers. So with Michael, we didn't feel we needed to go that route. So you haven't missed anything. Our hope is that, the truth is Michael was gracious enough, as you'll see in the film, to give us his beautiful home here in Los Angeles to utilize as essentially a main location to do all the interviews. So, we were able to keep it certainly cost effective, and we all gave of our time. Weren't getting paid. That's it. We all loved him, including our DP and co-director on it is Jonathan West, who also has been the DP on Voyager or consultant on Voyager, on Deep Space Nine, What We Left Behind, and did 7 seasons of Star Trek. So we've got some, and Chris Crosscove as well worked on it. So we all worked on it out of a mutual love for Michael and for the product.
Yeah. This is pretty funny, Joe. Your wife is playing a video game and we're all watching her playing it.
Well, she's playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? It's Valhalla. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
So yes, one Trek fan, you did notice that correctly. There is someone playing the game in Joe's living room, but and yes, whoever wrote about the Frakes, Jonathan Frakes he's always in great humor, but he loves Michael Westmore. And that day of filming with Jonathan was a ball.
That was a riot. Do you remember when he first came in? Because he had emailed me and he had asked me, because Jonathan and I are friendly, and he was going to come in and he's like, will there be makeup? And I said, well, Jonathan, it's Michael Westmore, an Academy Award winning makeup artist. What do you think? And he got a kick out of it.
Yeah, no, it's again, everybody on the Westmore project has just been delightful to
come. Oh, so happy to be there. Yeah, everybody.
We also had Armin Shimmerman, who was in the Sizzle, and Jeff Holmes. We've interviewed. We
still are going to get LeVar Burton. Yeah.
We have Ms. Kate Mulgrew.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about this project.
Right now we're focusing, I think a lot of people here know who Scott Mantz is. He's come aboard. And if you don't know Scott, I'm sure most people do. He's the movie critic for KTLA. He did Access Hollywood, for like 20 years. And he's working with us to go beyond Star Trek and get some of the other people that Michael has worked with. So it's going to be a nice balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, this is a good note here. Somebody mentioned that you probably, for the new people that aren't familiar with 455, to give the credits that you've done over the year, going back to Shatner, because maybe some people don't know those exist.
It's funny, on Facebook, you know how you get your memories, and I got something from 2009 with Bill Shatner and I on Canadian television, pitching our first documentary, and boy did I look young, Gonzo Ballet. So I started with Shatner in 2007. We did a documentary on the Milwaukee Ballet Company, took his record Has Been and turned it into a ballet. And we made a documentary, which ended up winning awards. And then from there, I pitched him on the idea of doing something with all the Star Trek captains. That became the Captains. Then we did one on creation, Ryan. Of course, you know it. Get a Life, William Shatner's Get a Life on Star Trek conventions. And Bill has said in the past that at that time, one of the films he's most proud of is Chaos on the Bridge, which we did on the first 3 seasons of The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart and Frakes and Michael Dorn, all the usual, and Maury Hurley, his last film appearance. And then we segued into Leonard Nimoy land with Adam Nimoy on For the Love of Spock. From there, we went to Ira, Stephen Bear, and did What We Left Behind. Now we're on Voyager, and I think the Star Trek train is coming to an end.
Well, we hope
except, wait a minute, perfect segue. We are also producing right now, all of us here, with Connor and Dominic, the Decon Chamber, the podcast, and we're very proud of that. The seasons are a little difficult to delineate, but we're essentially in our second season, and my God, the names we've had in there: Terry Farrell, Bill Shatner, Nick Meyer, Jonathan Frakes, Michael Dorn, Scott Bakula, and then Brian Fuller we just had on most recently, and now we're Doug Jones. We're doing watch parties as well. The boys are on. I think this weekend is the 4th episode of the first season, and I highly encourage people to watch that, because what a behind the scenes look that is, because their memories are excellent. It wasn't that long ago, and really is we're kind of taking a new look at Enterprise. So Star Trek continues.
Who knows? Maybe someday an Enterprise documentary. Never say never. Not.
There's demand. I'm in.
Yes, see, somebody just asked, Enterprise documentary one day. Well,
that was Sean Connery who famously said that. Never say never again. After he went back to Bond.
Look, Dave, you have somebody that's watched The Captain almost 50 times.
What? Wow. Well, I hope you.
What about the close-ups?
I was going to say, Joe, shameless plug. Make sure you get the Captain's collection. Joe and I worked on that during the pandemic because we had nothing to do. We couldn't shoot. And it's the Captain's, get all the films I discussed, plus our 5 spin-off episodes, the Captain's close-ups on each individual captain, and a 6th, which had never been seen in this country, with Christopher Plummer, called Still Kicking, the Captain's close-up. And then Joe and I went through, Joe did, and pulled a lot of the unused interviews. So there's an incredible amount of special features on there. So I highly recommend that for anyone that's a fan of the Shatner docs.
Yeah, I had never sat down to watch it until last year, Dave, and it really is good. And I'm not even a fan, but I really enjoyed that. So
that was the first thing I did for you, Dave, was as an editor producer, was Get a Life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was only going to come in to do that, and then somehow here I am 13 years later. So,
Lord, 13 years later and that much older.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, like I said, the thing with Bill and I on Canadian television 16 years ago. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm just curious for any of you that have been watching the podcast, would love any comments, but also, is there anybody that you'd love to see on the podcast? Because we are open for suggestions. It doesn't all have to be about Star Trek, and it certainly doesn't have to be actors. As you know, we've done producers and other, but we're really open for things. The guys are having a blast doing it, and I think we're all very proud of the quality of it.
Yeah, sure. When we do studio shoots there, that's Jonathan West again as our DP. So we're kind of shooting them when we're in the studio, like mini documentaries. And we did take a stab at going outside pretty much of the Star Trek world with Bill Mumy from Lost in Space. And that episode went incredibly well. So we're open to other genre people for sure.
Yeah. And I want to thank Ryan right now and Sirach for helping us cross promote the podcast. I think the guys were on this morning. So really appreciate all that support too. So
definitely.
But yeah, what else is in the works? I guess that's a lot, actually, if you think about how small 455 is.
The other thing we could discuss is something we're doing with Creation Entertainment.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yes. The cosplay. So we've already got a sizzle there. We've been shooting. We're in talks now to get hopefully funding for that and shoot a pilot. So it's essentially a documentary on the cosplay world, but not just Star Trek. We're going all over to different conventions, but certainly the base was Star Trek. It's Joni and Stephanie, who a lot of people here know from the creation, certainly the Vegas Con, the cosplayers. And the goal is to do something reality-based, but not exploiting these people, keeping it uplifting, similar in tone to our documentaries. So we're working on that now as well.
Yeah, we've shown a sizzle for that at a few of the conventions, and it's gotten more applause than any of the other stuff sometimes. It's a wide world out there of this cosplay. I really knew nothing about it, and it's fascinating, really. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Dave, somebody's asking, where can they find all of the 455 documentaries to watch?
Online, certainly
on Peacock. Actually, you can watch. I just recently was scouring through Peacock, and you can watch For the Love of Spock everything on Peacock. You can watch What We Left Behind on Peacock, and there was another one. What was it? I said there were 3 things. I think it was the
close-ups are on there too.
The close-ups are on there.
That's through Roku, but also if you want all the special features and the Blu-rays, they're all available on Amazon. Find them all. For the Love of Spock, Shout Factory. Yep, has everything. The Captain's collection.
Yeah, there's certainly hours of it to watch between all.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, like Joe said, you can see the docs, but I mean, What We Left Behind is the perfect example. The special features are longer than the film.
And they're great.
You'll only get that with the Blu-ray. So that is available, as Joe said, through Shout Factory with the Captain's Collection.
I thought we said we were talking about that. Aren't you believe that the special features are also up on Apple, Dave?
No, we sent them. The backers got them, but we didn't put them out for. Yeah, we didn't put them out for general use.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were a lot of fun. So that's great.
So I guess the physical media is the only way right now to really see the special features on What We Left.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true still with most films. You kind of have to pony up for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But I will say the Captain's Collection, that's, Joe, what is that, over 10 hours of
something like that.
Even more, maybe.
It's the Captain's is a 2.5-hour doc, or 2-hour doc. The close-ups is 2.5 hours.
Chris Plummer is almost an hour.
Still Kicking's like 50 minutes, I think.
Yep. And then Dead of Life is an hour, and Chaos.
Chaos is an hour. Yeah.
And the special features.
And the special features was quite a bit. We had full interviews with
Maury.
Maury, which is rare because there were only a couple of interviews that he's ever given, including
only one that I know of on camera about Star Trek.
Let me just put people in on who you're talking about, because they don't know. Maurice Hurley was an executive producer who headed up the writing department at the second, third season of Next Generation. So he was there, and Michael Piller came in and took Maurice's place, but he was a great man. I had the privilege of working for him for a year, and quite a character. And so I'm so glad that you guys were able to get those interviews, because like you said, he didn't really like the camera. He didn't want to be out there talking about it. But
the only reason we got that is because he had worked with Bill Shatner on, he had produced a show Bill did called Tech War. So they were friendly, and that's why Maury said yes to the interview. That's how we got him.
Yeah.
And what was really nice thing, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, the reason that you should really be looking forward to that is because Maurice is the one who created the Borg.
That's right.
And
what was nice, that rekindled Bill and Maury's friendship, which was really nice.
I'll tell a real quick story about the Borg and Maury Hurley. I was sitting in my desk one day and he screamed, Lolita, come in right now. I'm like, oh God, what is going on? Because you never knew in the Hart building where the writers worked, where Gene Roddenberry's office was, what was going to happen every day. It was quite a circus, good circus. Anyway, he came in, he said, close the door. Okay. He said, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. Are you ready? And I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was acting as much as I could to be interested. I said, what is it? What is it, Maury? He said, they're going to be called the Borg. Just like that, right at my, and I said, okay. And there it was. I was the first person who heard the word the Borg. So yeah, it was quite a character. And from there, my God, some of those writers really created those characters of the Borg more and more. And what Brandon creating 7 of 9 was unbelievable. And the Borg Queen, just those characters were great. But it all started in Hart Building 101.
The funny line in First Contact is when Alfie Woodard hears about the Borg. She's like, what are they, Swedish? Because you don't realize that they do kind of sound Swedish.
Dave, why did you call your company 455?
Oh, I wish I had an example of it. Very simply, it's the engine size of my 1970s Buicks. It's a 455 cubic inch engine, which is equivalent to 7.4 liters. And I still, to this day, as these guys can attest, drive a 1972 Buick Estate Wagon, which has a 455.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. I knew that, but I couldn't have answered it because I didn't really remember that. But boy, we're certainly getting a lot of great comments on the what we left behind, the special stuff. Yeah. Well, I know the one big question I saw roll by too, and I don't know, Dave, if there is an answer to this yet. Will there be a screening in theaters of the Voyager doc like there was of DS9?
God willing, yeah. We're going to
Yeah.
approach the same people that did it the last time. As soon as we lock, we're very, very close. And my feeling is yes, because I think we set such a bar with what we left behind did so well. I'd find it hard to imagine, but then again, in today's world, who knows? The theatrical world has changed, but yes, we are going to try. The thing is, we do need a company like Fathom because it's far too expensive to mount a theatrical release ourselves. It'd be cost prohibitive.
Right, right. And the world has changed because of the pandemic. So many theaters have closed and people just don't go as much. But I'm sure those theaters would be packed if the opportunity arises.
And Fathom Entertainment, who did it for us last time, is still kicking. They're out there. So we're hoping.
That's great. So
somebody mentioned that on Pluto is
I think you find it, Joe, Peacock, and it goes through Roku or Pluto. They're around.
I have Peacock on my
because I did what you did, and then it took me to Roku.
The captains are available on Pluto.
Yeah.
Well, you need some sort of box
streaming.
Stream all that stuff. So
buy the Blu-rays.
Buy the Blu-rays, but the problem is you have to have a player. Do you have?
I know we were talking about that the other day. I don't think people are really using physical media.
Well, and it is going away. Luke and I used to work. Well, he still works at the same company, but I worked at a company for many years that made special features for films that went on the Blu-rays. And I think a couple of years ago, we found out that Australia has stopped making physical media. So, or not Australia, but the studios in Australia stopped making physical media. So everything is streaming now. Which is, it's great that you have that ability to get those streams, but there's so many things. And I would say our films are these niche things, and there's so many great films out there that if you don't have a physical copy, who knows if you're going to be able to watch it in 10 years.
With all the different windows and things come, they go, they change.
I mean, I have a, I don't have a per se a Blu-ray player. We have an Xbox and a that's an Xbox. We used to have a PS4 too. So.
And not everything is available.
But we can play on the Blu-ray. We can play the DVDs on there. And I still have a great collection of stuff, but of physical media. But there are
I still have all my VHS. I guess maybe it's time to get rid of it.
And shout out to Matt Boardman for he loves to listen to the soundtrack of What We Left Behind. Done by our
Dennis McCarthy, Kevin Kiner. Yep, they did the soundtrack for us, the score of Voyager. Same people.
Yeah.
And speaking of Voyager, somebody's asking, did we interview set designers, prop makers, and such? Absolutely. Yes. We interviewed over 80 people for that documentary, and they were not all actors. We really went deep.
We even interviewed PAs. One, unfortunately, a good friend of ours, Aaron Siegel, who passed away.
We interviewed the Okudas. We interviewed Doug Drexler,
Dan
Curry, Rick Sternbach, illustrator. Senior illustrator.
Ronald B. Moore.
Ronald B. Moore, visual effects supervisor, worked with Dan Curry. They were a duo. We also interviewed Daryl Baskin, who was one of the editors.
We have a lot of production people.
We had Karen Westerfield, who is most known for Armin for Quark on What We Left on DS9, but she also did makeup on Voyager at times, including for Armin's appearance on there. We had, although they're not in the film, but they will be in the special features, we had Sean Pillar, Michael's son, and Sandra, Michael's wife. We interviewed Alex Enberg and his partner Kendra. Alex was Jerry Taylor's son and played Vorik. Is that?
Yeah, Vorik.
Vorik. Klingon, I mean the Vulcan,
Vulcan.
On Voyager.
And
So,
Janet, Larry Nemechek, the list goes on.
right.
So
Goes on
Yeah.
and on. Rick Berman, I mean, name it.
Yeah.
And also the executives that ran UPN. We went pretty deep.
Yeah.
so absolutely.
Yeah.
But
we did not interview a lot of people that were not primary cast, although we did interview Seska, Martha Hackett, and we interviewed Scott McDonald, who was only in the pilot, but he's actually one of my favorite things in the Voyager doc. The story that he tells is one it was. The second we heard him tell his story, I knew that was going to be a big part of this film because it's such a unique point of view. And that's, when you make these things, that's what you really want, is somebody's recollection of a specific thing at a pivotal time.
Hey, I'm showing guys the word 11:45. So, Lo, is there anything else that we should address?
Ryan, should we be wrapping up? To the Journey will obviously have a normal runtime. Can you guess how much footage you're actually sitting on? Curious.
Oh,
Joe.
God.
Well,
80 hours? I don't know. 100 hours,
yeah,
Joe?
Probably 100 hours of, each interview was, most of those interviews had 3 cameras on them. So if you want to quantize that, you have, that. But we had about, I think we had about 60 to 70 interviews at various lengths, but with main cast, a lot of those interviews went 2-3 hours. We interviewed Garrett a few times. His first interview was like
6 hours.
He was at my house for 6 hours. I think it's 5 hours.
Yeah, maybe it's a little less, Joe. Okay.
Yeah, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Even Robert Beltran went over 2 hours.
Yeah.
2.5 hours. Yeah.
Yep.
I think Bob Picardo went 2.5 hours. Tim went at least 90 minutes.
Yeah, because we got him on the ship that night.
We got him on the ship for an hour there, and then we filmed him at the studio, and that was like 90 minutes to 2 hours. So yeah, we did a lot.
Especially because you consider that in a documentary, you're trying to get so many things in. Some people have maybe 2 minutes in the whole film. So
maybe some people have a few seconds in the film.
Yes,
not main cast, but we tried to make it work within the story that we were telling, and there's only so much you can get in. We didn't want it to go over 2 hours. We wanted it to feel like it was at a good point, and not draw it out too much. That's what the special features are. And you guys will, we're gonna probably put a lot more interview of the raw interviews in there for you guys to see, and that'll be fascinating.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that myself, but yeah,
I was just gonna say, because when we do the documentaries, we're using multiple voices to tell a story, but to sit and see the individual interviews, those are also very interesting because you get the sense of people's point of view, and we're not cutting it up. We're letting you get some of that rawer stuff.
That's right. That'll be fun. It'll be fun for me to watch that, to reminisce, because it went by so fast when we were doing it. So, anyway.
And yes, Dennis Koch, editing's always a challenge, but yes, we had a lot of voices, and it was definitely to get a good balance and tell the story we wanted to tell. It took some figuring out, but I think we got there in the end.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
So, Ryan, thank you so much for having us, and to all of you who are going on the cruise. Dave and I will be there, and as he said, we will be screening the film at least once over that. And Robbie McNeil and Roxanne have not seen it. They're the 2 cast members who have not, so they're going to be there at the screening, we hope. I know Robbie is, because he's introducing it for us. So anybody that's coming on the cruise, please come and say hello. And Ryan, again, thank you so much. And I will see a lot of you tomorrow night. I think I'll be with Ryan for a couple hours tomorrow night with some of my besties, Terry Farrell and Nicole, and it's going to be fun. So
and don't forget, you got to vote for all the awards, and you know,
I voted.
let us know about the Enterprise doc. We'll be looking to see what the consensus is on what's the next documentary that you all are most looking forward to.
Yeah, just give us time. So, all right, thank you. Anything else, Ryan? I hope your voice gets better, or yeah, good luck today.
I'm sure it'll be fine real soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.